It all begins with our guy, Jiang Yan, opening his eyes on a bus filled with high school students like him, and he quickly realizes that he's back in the past. Seeing that he is on a bus filled with his peers, he figures out that he is back in the time when he and his peers graduated high school, and they were headed to Nanyang Demon Cave Station to awaken their classes. At this point in time, it is still 2.5 years before the city is destroyed. The whole backstory is that 12 years ago, numerous demon cave entrances suddenly appeared in the human world, and Nanyang Demon Cave was one of them. The monsters that came out of the cave killed humans on a large scale. Humans were forced to enter the cave to launch a counterattack, but they soon met with a grim realization that inside the demon world, conventional weapons are useless because they are disrupted by mana. Soon, humanity discovered that anyone who reached the age of 18 and approached a demon cave under its influence would awaken innate skills and gain the power to fight back against monsters. After several years of battle by the awakened, humans finally contained the demons in the demon caves and began their counterattack into the other world. Thanks to this, humanity's structure changed, and every 18-year-old high school graduate comes to a demon cave to awaken a class. Basically, classes are divided into 3 types, which are combat, support, and craft. As expected, the combat class sits above everything else, while the support class comes right after. However, the craft class is stuck in the back and is constantly looked down upon. In his past life, the class Yan awakened was an F-rank craft class. However, there was something different about it because the innate skill that awakened with his class is an overpowered god-tier skill, Modify. This helps change a single character in the name of a skill or item to turn it into trash or treasure. In his past life, the moment he revealed this skill, he was immediately whipped up by the big shots, and they had him modify the names of all kinds of skills and equipment. He helped them turn all sorts of worthless junk into artifacts, but this also made them fear him. Because of this, they put him under not-so-serious house arrest, restricted his growth, and tried to control him completely. This went on until one night when a massive level 96 dragon-type monster walked out of the Nanyang Demon Cave. This was something that had never happened in the past, and the day that this happened, Yan had just reached level 70, barely stepping into the ranks of human powerhouses. Yan felt like someone had decided to use the monster to wipe him out because they couldn't control him. Before dying, Yan had modified his resurrection skill into rebirth, which is why he was reborn. Now that he has been reborn, Yan figures out that the only person he can trust is himself, and he doesn't plan on telling anyone what he can do in this life. He plans to protect his family, friends, and the city while quietly growing stronger. Not long after, they arrive at the Nanyang City Hunter Association HQ where the Awakening Plaza is located. Some of the students are hyped up because they are confident that they are going to awaken something cool, while some are scared that they are going to awaken trash classes. Meanwhile, everyone is focused on Yan, who is at the top of the academy in both academics and combat. Apparently, he was born with a body full of mana, and because of this, he is considered to be a genius. The students are convinced that he is going to awaken a strong combat class, but the second in the school, Yang Hongwei, is jealous of Yan's success, and he believes that Yan is going to come out with a trash class. The teacher then tells Yan that he will be the first to go so as to give everyone a good start. He is asked to put both hands on the crystal, which will awaken his class panel. The knights call him forward to carry out his awakening procedure, and Yan confidently steps up. However, he is not nervous, since he already knows where this is going to end. The students and even the teacher are waiting patiently for him to awaken a strong combat class. They specifically pray that it isn't a craft class, which is the trashiest, but Hongwei believes that it is going to be a trash class. Yan proceeds to touch the crystal, and this gives off a bright light before displaying his class, which turns out to be Tinkerer. Just as he expected, it is an F-rank craft class, and the moment everyone sees this, they freak out. The teacher holds his head in complete shock, wondering how this happened, since Yan is a hardworking person. Hongwei and his guys, on the other hand, almost died from laughter because Yan couldn't have had it worse. Hongwei is exhilarated that he will finally get to go past Yan, who has always bested him in everything. One of the knights tries to console Yan, telling him that the Tinkerer isn't bad because it is better than the farmer class. He tells him that he can use this to open a shop and make good money repairing gear. Suddenly, the crystal starts reacting again, and this gets everyone on their toes because this means that he is awakening a second class. The teacher talks about how rare it is to awaken dual classes because anyone who does is considered a genius among geniuses. The teacher is convinced that the second class will be better than the first, and just then, the class panel displays the farmer class. It turns out to be an F rank just like the Tinkerer, and everyone is left in complete shock because the farmer is even more useless than the Tinkerer. Hongwei almost falls to the ground in laughter because he can't believe that he called it and it came the way he wanted it. Everyone immediately concludes that he is a failure, and the words of pity and sympathy start flowing out of their mouths. But deep down, Yan is rejoicing. He knows that the classes he awakened are trash, but the talent he has is an overpowered skill. As for the Tinkerer and its innate skill modify, it is a skill that can change one character in the innate skill name, equipment name, or item name. After modification, the name's owner will gain the corresponding innate skill, equipment, or item matching the new name. If the modification target originates from Yan himself, the success rate is 100%, but if the target's level is higher than his, the success rate is reduced by 10% per level difference. As for the Farmer class and the innate skill, Growth, this increases plant growth speed by 110%. This also revives the target, including Yan, and fully restores all injuries, but expended mana cannot be restored. Yan knows that as long as he uses the skill wisely, it is going to be his greatest trump card. Yan looks at the new student rankings, and he vows to take first place on both lists. With this, he plans to show everyone what it feels like to live in fear of an F-rank class. After all, the number 1 student gets a lot of resources, and he plans to become the strongest in this life, while doing everything all by himself. There is a beginner training base which is created to help newly awakened rookies level up, and it is basically filled with weak demon cave creatures that were raised by humans. It is considered to be safe, and it is also a place where rookies can gain the most experience points. If one breaks the clear time record, they get bonus points in the upcoming provincial rookie tournament, which will massively boost their chances of getting into the best university. With this in mind, Yan heads to the training base, but his plan is not just to level up like everyone else. He is there to crush the time record and secure his ticket to the top university. Upon arriving at the entrance, the knight in charge checks his profile and realizes that he is a 1 in 10,000 dual-class awakener, but both are F-rank. The knight is forced to ask Yan if he is sure he wants to take on the challenge all by himself. He lets Yan know that it might only be the first stage dungeon of the beginner training base, but it is not easy whatsoever. The knight urges Yan to team up with his classmates, but Yan tells him that his mind is made up, and he tells the man to give him the beginner gear. Deep down, the knight believes that Yan is finding it difficult to accept reality because he was at the top in both academics and combat before awakening double F-rank classes. The man then presents Yan with the beginner gear, but Yan is surprised that it is not just an iron sword. He is given a pair of leather boots too, and Yan figures out that the man is being nice to him. The boots give him an additional 3 points in speed, and even though the man is trying to help, Yan realizes that he is only underestimating him. As he proceeds into the training area, the knight tells him to call for help if he can't handle the charging rabbits converging on him. Yan continues confidently, while thanking the knight for the reminder. Just as he is about to reach the training ground, Yan modifies the sword and the boots to increase the penetration and add more bonus movement speed, respectively. Even though he can change the sword into a holy sword or a demon sword, he can't do it in the training area because there are cameras everywhere. He has already paid the price for exposing his talent in his past life, and he is not about to make the same mistake again. He knows that no matter how much modification he does to a level 1 gear, it won't make it become something crazy. However, in his current state, it is more than enough. Apparently, the training base is divided into 3 sections, which are the basic area, the advanced area, and the boss area. Normal combat training can be done in the basic area, and if the trainee wants something tougher, they have the advanced area at their disposal. However, if one wants to set a clear time record, they have to reach the boss area and kill a boss rank charging rabbit. The charging rabbits are level 1 monsters, and they have a crystal shell on their heads which deals damage by ramming. They also possess an extremely violent temper. Basically, Yan came to the training base to reach level 5 straight up, but to do this, he needs to kill at least 100 of the charging rabbits. In no time, the monsters start charging at him, but Yan is prepared to take them on because it is only after he reaches level 5 that he will be qualified to challenge the next stage, which is the Whirlwind Wolf Base. The area is a nightmare for newbies, but it is more or less the perfect place for Yan to level up. Without hesitation, Yan dashes toward the rabbits, slicing them down one after the other. As he cuts through them with little to no effort, he figures out that he might even get to level 10 in one go. Upon reaching level 10, he gets to unlock another skill, which can help create ultimate monsters. With this, he knows that he will become really strong. While taking on the monsters, he remembers that Hongwei will currently be awakening as it is, and he knows that the moment the dude awakens, he will definitely come looking for him just to mess with him. Just as he predicted, Hongwei has stepped onto the platform to awaken his class, and Hongwei prays that he gets at least a class above Yan's, so he can finally win. The crystal reacts aggressively, and when his class finally awakens, it turns out to be an A-rank combat class, Berserker. Hongwei jumps up for joy because he believes he's finally won. Even the students are amazed at this because Hongwei has been stuck at number 2 thanks to Yan. Hongwei boastfully tells everyone that he is no longer number 2, but number 1. Hongwei's lackeys egg him on, praising him for finally overtaking Yan, whom they consider to be trash. Since they can't find Yan, they believe that he has gone to hide somewhere after he figured out that Hongwei awakened a class stronger than his. One of Hongwei's lackeys tells him that he saw Yan heading toward the beginner training base, and Hongwei immediately suggests that they go after him because he is pretty sure that Yan is currently struggling there. They leave under the guise that they want to go and help him, but the teacher knows that they are just heading there to make fun of Yan. The teacher is sad about this because he knows how hard Yan has always worked. He has seen him study late into the night in the classroom, while also pushing himself to a breaking point when it comes to combat. In the mana training room, even with the pain setting completely maxed out, he has never seen Yan make a sound. The teacher doesn't understand how someone who has worked as hard as Yan ends up awakening the most useless F-rank classes. However, there is another purple-headed student in the crowd who believes in Yan and doesn't think awakening F-rank classes is going to hold him back. This student is Wang Qingfeng, and he is also Yan's rival. He is in second place in the entire school in both academics and combat, just right behind Yan. During their first year finals, Qingfeng was convinced by Yan's determination on the stage. Since Hongwei plans to cause trouble for Yan, Qingfeng decides to go watch too, because he wants to be the only one who gets to bother Yan. He plans to beat Hongwei up if he tries to touch Yan. Meanwhile, in the training base, Yan has finally killed over 100 charging rabbits, and even though he has the experience, it still takes a heavy toll on his weak body. Nonetheless, he is not worried because all that is left is to kill the Rabbit King, and once he beats the Rabbit King, he clears the area and hits level 5. The Rabbit King is a level 5 monster that has an element crystal shell on its head and can deal elemental damage with its ramming attacks. At the moment, Yan is at level 4 and he is pretty injured, so he knows that fighting the Rabbit King head-on at that moment is going to result in a defeat for him. However, he already has a plan to win, and as the charging rabbit dashes toward him with its innate skill, the Flame Headbutt, Yan does what he has been waiting for. He modifies the rabbit's skill from Flame Headbutt to Flame Headburst. This is a skill that detonates the crystal on its head, dealing massive damage to both the enemy and the rabbit itself. Before the rabbit can reach Yan, the crystal explodes, killing the Rabbit King on the spot. After killing the rabbit, Yan moves to level 5 just as expected, and at the same time, the notice board comes up with an announcement telling everyone that the Charging Rabbit's elite record has been broken by Yan in 36 minutes. The students see this and freak out in shock because the past year's record was over 1 hour. Hongwei doesn't want to believe this and assumes that Yan cheated somehow. He decides to go after Yan to show everyone that he is a fake. Since he has defeated the Charging Rabbits, Yan figures out that it is time to move on to the next stage, the beginner training base, which is way stronger than the rabbits. Before moving on, he makes sure to use his skill to repair himself. The next monsters he will be going up against are the Whirlwind Wolves, and in his past life, the Wolf King gave him more trouble than he expected. However, this time around, he plans to make the Wolf King pay and even add a bit of interest to it. Moments later, he arrives at the training base designated for the Whirlwind Wolves. In this base, the regular wolves range from level 6 to 9, and the Wolf King goes all the way up to level 10. However, freshmen at this stage are only between levels 1 and 5. So for a normal rookie to choose the base is just asking to be beaten up. Essentially, the strength of the Whirlwind Wolves is terrifyingly high, but at the same time, the rewards are massive. If one survives in the training base, they get more experience points than anywhere else at the current stage. He is currently level 5, and if he manages to defeat the Wolf King, he can just jump straight to level 10 in one shot. On a normal ground, it is going to take a rookie about 10 days to reach level 10, but clearing the base just once gets the person straight to level 10. After hitting level 10, one can awaken a second innate skill and also gain permission to go train alone in the wild. Both of these benefits are crucial to Yan on his path to power, so he knows that the earlier, the better. Upon arriving at the entrance of the base, he meets a rude knight unlike the one at the Charging Rabbit base. The dude rudely asks Yan if he wants to tackle the base alone because even level 8 or 9 freshmen only come into the base with a 6-man party. He mentions that there was even a genius freshman who awakened an A-rank class and he tried to solo it, but he ended up getting injured badly. In the end, he wasn't able to sit for the college entrance exams, so he doesn't believe a piece of trash like Yan has the chance to do what the dude couldn't pull off. Yan thanks the dude for the warning, but lets him know that he has no intentions of changing his mind. However, the knight lets Yan know that he is not warning him because if he is so eager to die, he is free to do that. Yan is not surprised that he just got looked down on again, but he knows he is never the type to just stop because some dude talked down on him. Yan confidently dashes into the training base and rushes toward the wolves. The knight stands on the balcony to watch, and he is surprised that Yan is rushing at the wolves. He believes that Yan is just some clueless idiot who is going to get himself killed. However, he soon realizes how wrong he is when he sees Yan cutting down the monsters like they are nothing. Sweat runs down his face in shock because Yan hasn't even used his innate skills, but he is already toying with the monsters. This leaves him asking himself if Yan is truly a genius. Not long after this, Yan had created a huge heap with the monsters' corpses, and at this point, the knight basically concludes that Yan is a freaking powerhouse. He remembers mocking Yan when he was entering, so he figures out that it is going to be a bad idea for him to stick around and let Yan meet him there. On the other hand, Yan sits on the corpse heap to recharge, and he admits that the difficulty in the training base is great because if not for his resurrection skill, he would have died over and over again. At this point, he has gotten to level 9, but this is after a painful fight against the annoying wolves that are obviously stronger than the rabbits. Even with the resurrection skill, the pain from his injuries doesn't reduce, but Yan is not worried about this. He knows that changing his fate is going to come with some level of pain, and since he has taken down the pack of wolves, what is left for him is the king of the wolves. Just then, the Wolf King, a level 10 monster, appears in the distance. This is a monster whose fur resonates with the wind element, and it also has the Wind Blade Claw skill. After checking out the wolf's skills, Yan figures out that it is not going to leave him much room to modify, and if he forces a change, he might actually make things worse. He starts wondering what he is going to do in this situation, and in the end, he pulls off his shirt to show his six-pack while claiming that he is going to do it in a man's way. Aside from the skills he has, he knows that he is still number 1 in both academics and combat. Without hesitation, Yan lunges at the Wolf King, ready to show him what he is made of. On the other hand, Hongwei and his lackeys barely made it out of the charging rabbit training base. They almost died if not for the fact that they quickly requested help. The knight in charge berates them for moving into the advanced zone when they could have trained in the basic zone like everyone else. Deep down, Hongwei is pissed that even with a party, he couldn't get to the boss zone, leaving him to wonder how Yan was able to clear it. Hongwei angrily slams his fist into one of his lackeys because he strongly believes that Yan cheated. As if their misery is not enough, the notice board lights up with another notification, telling everyone that the Whirlwind Wolves training base has just been cleared in a record time of 58 minutes by Yan. Hongwei's lackeys are left in complete shock, but this only motivates Hongwei further for what he plans to do to Yan. He then tells his lackeys that it is time to head to the Wolves training base under the pretense of cheering for Yan. He plans to destroy Yan's legacy, no matter what it takes. Back in the training base, Yan has finally reached the level 10 that he was aiming for, where he can finally awaken his second innate skill. As for his new Tinkerer skill, he obtained durability, while he obtained plant grafting for the farmer's skill. Yan is glad that he finally obtained the plant grafting skill, and he uses the modification skill to change it to universal grafting. The universal grafting skill is an overpowered skill that creates ultimate contract beasts, and Yan is glad that it is finally his. The universal grafting skill is a skill that can graft the genes of 2 different species, randomly creating a new species that is either superior or inferior. His current chances of creating a superior species are 10%, but as the skill level increases, the number of species that he can graft also increases. This also increases his chances of producing a superior species. Even though the conditions for grafting are restricted, Yan is not worried because it is one of the strongest skills out there. Basically, monsters that are already powerful can gain even stronger abilities. By combining 2 A-rank monsters, there is a possibility that an S-rank monster will be created. By using a Beast Tamer's skill scroll to form a contract with the monster, Yan can turn it into a loyal battle companion. In his past life, Yan recalls how the big shots used the results of his power for themselves, but this time around he plans to use the power only for himself. After he is done, Yan figures out that it is time to head out, and he is impressed by the amount of progress that he has made. He even managed to get a magic crystal, which goes for a high price. Because they have a low drop rate, embedding them into gear gives powerful effects. But crystals from the training grounds belong to the association. At the moment, he is at level 10, which means he can finally head out into the wilds of the Demon Cave, and any crystal or material he finds out there will be his alone. With this, Yan is confident that his money problems are about to become a thing of the past. Just then, he gets a painful kick from the claw injury on his chest, and because the injury is not severe enough to kill him, his resurrection skill won't kick in. To make it worse, he doesn't even have the money to treat himself at a hospital, which basically means his best option is to kill himself and trigger resurrection. However, he can't do that in front of the working knights because this would obviously trigger suspicions. He figures out that he just has to find a quiet place with no one around, so he can die there. He puts on his shirt and he steps out, but to his utmost surprise, there are so many people outside. They are mostly students who have been waiting for him to come out, and even the seniors are there to watch him because he broke the record. With this many people around, Yan realizes that there is no way he can easily use resurrection. The worst part of it is that if he takes more damage in his current situation and then suddenly resurrects in front of everyone, they are going to notice that something is off. His major concern becomes how he is going to shake off the crowd that is there to watch him. Suddenly, his wounds start healing, and when he looks up, he sees an S-rank support profession, the Holy Angel, working on him. Everyone is amazed, and when they turn around to see who is responsible, they realize that it is a girl named Kexin who is from the Yao family, one of the great clans. The students are left in complete shock as they didn't expect someone of her caliber to come there. Yan is left in complete awe because this girl literally just saved his life. He walks up to her to thank her because all of his injuries have vanished. He tells Kexin that since she saved him, he is going to help her handle her gear repairs in the future. Deep down, he also wishes that he and she could work together later because her healing skill is something that would always come in clutch. Kexin acknowledges the gratitude, telling Yan that she would be looking forward to when her equipment breaks. Everything is going smoothly until Hongwei appears on the scene to accuse Yan of cheating. He screams at the top of his voice, telling everyone else not to let Yan deceive them because he is nothing less than a freaking cheater. He claims that Yan's speedrun record was done with cheats. He mentions that Yan is a dual F-rank trash, and those who are present are shocked to hear this. They obviously know that awakening with a craft class means one has zero combat power. Hongwei continues by saying it is impossible to clear the training base solo while creating a new record at that. He mentions that the only way this is possible is by using some crazy powerful gear, but even this isn't possible for Yan because he is poor. Deep down, Hongwei believes that Yan has resorted to cheap tricks because he couldn't beat him fair and square. Hongwei continues by saying if Yan was able to purchase a powerful gear, this means he has never been poor, but intentionally did this to scam the school for financial aid. The moment the crowd hears this, their excitement about Yan starts dying down, and Yan decides to ask Hongwei if he wants him to prove that he didn't cheat. Hongwei says this is exactly what he wants. He wants Yan to take off his gear and fight him, saying if Yan is able to beat him, it means he didn't cheat. Kexin urges Yan not to fall for it because he doesn't need to prove himself to anyone, but Yan thanks her for the worry. Without hesitation, Yan accepts Hongwei's challenge, and this is because he plans to deal with Hongwei once and for all to prevent him from getting in his way in the future. Hongwei boastfully unleashes his berserker aura, telling Yan that he's about to make a huge mistake by challenging him. Hongwei screams out in confidence, telling Yan that he is going to beat him so badly that he will lose all of his teeth. Hongwei activates his berserker skill, which drains 1% HP per minute, while amplifying battle lust and increasing strength, agility, and defense by 30%. Yan teases Hongwei, telling him that he likes how much of a big talker he is, but he is curious to see if he will be able to keep the energy up for a minute. Yan cannot believe that Hongwei seriously believes that he can crush him on class difference alone. Yan puts up a fighting stance as he prepares to teach Hongwei a lesson he won't forget, which is the fact that true strength doesn't come from one's class. Deep down, Yan is relieved that before he left the training grounds, he had restored all his gear to its original state, so he doesn't even have to worry about anyone noticing something strange about his equipment. Yan even takes off the leather boots that were given to him just to show Hongwei that he currently has not a single piece of gear on him. Hongwei believes that this is to his advantage and he rushes toward Yan, aiming to punch him in the head, but Yan easily dodges the strike, ultimately shocking Hongwei. Hongwei refuses to believe this, and he starts throwing punches frantically with the hope that he catches Yan with one of them. However, all his punches appear slow in front of Yan as he moves out of the way every single time to dodge. Yan admits that an A-rank berserker class is impressive, but an attack only matters if it actually hits. He knows that swinging blindly is nothing but a waste of stamina, and he lets Hongwei know that he's seen through his fighting style over the past 3 years they have been together. Yan prepares a counter-strike while reminding Hongwei that he has never once seen through his. Before Hongwei can react, Yan delivers a powerful punch to his right torso, sending a huge wave of pain into Hongwei's body. He crashes to the ground in severe pain, and Yan confidently declares that he is still the top dog. Everyone holds their heads in astonishment, wondering how it is possible for an F-rank craft class to defeat an A-rank berserker. Since he has put Hongwei in his place already, Yan figures out that it is time to leave because he will have to head into the wild very soon. However, before doing this, he has to get himself some decent gear. With his modification skill, he knows that good equipment is not going to be a problem. Since he has returned all the issued equipment, he has no choice but to buy some basic gear, but he looks at his wallet, and this reminds him of how broke he is. Suddenly, he senses a punch coming from behind, and he reacts to this instantly, blocking it pretty easily. He turns around to see who it is, and it turns out to be his friendly rival, Qing Feng. Qing Feng commends him for blocking the strike, saying it is no surprise that he has been at the top of the year in both academics and combat 3 years in a row. Qing Feng buys Yan a drink, and Yan asks him if he was there when he was fighting Hongwei. Qing Feng confirms this, saying if Yan couldn't beat Hongwei, he would have stepped in to beat him up himself because he is the only opponent he recognizes. Qing Feng mentions that people like Hongwei don't matter, and Yan points out the fact that Qing Feng wasn't going all out against him. Back in their first year finals, Qing Feng had thrown in the towel, and ever since that day, Qing Feng had surrendered every year. Yan points out the fact that he is aware that Qingfeng is trying to give him the top scholarship because Qingfeng is a rich second-generation kid, so he obviously does not need the money. Qingfeng tries to deny this, saying he only got scared of Yan's ruthless eyes. Yan then uses the opportunity to ask him if he is going to surrender if they end up facing each other at the current year's National Rookie Tournament, but Qingfeng tells him that there is no chance whatsoever. Qingfeng promises to go all out against Yan, and the two make a toast to this. Just then, Qingfeng throws a card containing 2,000 to Yan, telling him that he wants to buy his Whirlwind Wolf speedrun strategy. As he leaves, he reminds Yan to send it to him very soon, and Yan assures him that he will. Yan heaves a sigh of relief while admitting that he owes Qingfeng for this, but he promises to pay him back for it. Now that he has 2,000 to spend, he plans to hit the stalls, and he wonders what treasures he will come across. Moments later, Yan arrives at the cheapest black market stall he knows. However, he is not looking to find anything out of the ordinary because everything being sold there is just basic. However, this doesn't mean that there is none. He soon finds a stall where a demon shade saber embedded with a whirlwind wolf magic crystal is put on display. It is an E+ rank equipment that was forged from meteor iron and fused with a level 5 whirlwind wolf magic crystal, which can unleash the whirlwind skill. The seller tells Yan that he can only sell it for 18,000 because if the sword were at peak durability, it would be going for at least 25,000. Yan is not surprised because he already expected it to be expensive, and he turns to what appears to be a basic sword to ask him how much he wants to sell it. The seller mentions that the sword is going for 1,500. The sword is the Azure Steel sword, which is an E-rank sword that was forged from ordinary Azure Steel. Yan then decides to make a deal with the seller by asking him if he is going to give him the Azure Steel sword if he fixes the Demon Shade Saber for him. The seller immediately becomes interested in this, asking Yan if he can truly do this. Yan activates his durability skill, and with a smile he tells the seller that there is only one way to find out. Apparently, Yan's target from the start isn't the Demon Blade, but the Azure Steel sword. This is because the moment he uses the modification skill on it, the Azure Steel sword can become a certain legendary weapon. The seller asks Yan if he has a durability class because restoring weapon durability is extremely risky and difficult. Yan replies that he is a tinkerer in the F-rank craft class. The seller then mentions that he also has the craft class, but it is the D-rank blacksmith. He mentions that he knows weapons better than Yan, and even he can't guarantee that he can restore the blade's durability. He then decides to give Yan a bit of advice, since he is a student. He mentions that once a weapon's durability drops to 0, it is destroyed, and using durability to repair it requires sensing the weapon's inner structure, so he has to understand the magic flowing inside the weapon, then reconstruct it from within. The seller reveals that if the repair fails, the durability will only drop further, so he lets Yan know that if he messes this up, he basically owes him 18,000. Surprisingly, Kexen is also in the market, and she is observing everything. She knows that the seller is not wrong because even the B-rank professionals in her family's guild find it hard to restore a weapon's durability. Yan, on the other hand, is not worried because in his previous life, the powerhouses he repaired gear for wielded A-rank and even S-rank artifacts. Basically, most people who awaken as F-rank tinkerers give up on themselves and move on, but Yan is someone who has always wanted to be better than anyone else, so he pushed himself to the limit to train durability. Now that he has been reborn, this habit has basically become one of his greatest abilities. He doesn't even consider fixing low-level gear like this one as something crazy, and as he starts working on the Demon Blade, those who are watching are left in complete awe. Even Kexen finally realizes that Yan wasn't joking around when he assured her that he would help her fix her gear. Moments later, Yan fixes up the blade and he hands it over to the seller. The seller collects it with excitement and, after checking it out, commends Yan while admitting that he really misjudged him. He tells Yan that he is the real deal, and he hands over the Azure Steel sword, telling him that it is his. Yan gladly accepts the blade, and deep down he knows that all he has to do is change the sword and make it become a pseudo-artifact. Yan then uses his skill to change the blade to Qinggang, the legendary blade. Apparently, in ancient times, it was the sword that was carried by a war god who easily broke through enemy lines. With a sword like this, Yan figures out that he can save the 2,000 that he just earned because paying for university tuition is no child's play. In addition, things haven't been easy for his sister ever since their father died. Even though he is aware of the fact that his sister is going to become someone amazing in the future, he is concerned that she is just a shut-in girl at the moment. This is why he plans to set aside some living expenses for her before he goes off to college. Yan is about to leave when he hears a familiar voice behind him, asking him if she can hire him. He turns around to see that it is Kexen, and she tells him that she is willing to pay 50,000 if he agrees. She tells Yan that all she needs is for him to carry her to level 10. Apparently, she is currently at level 3, and Yan lets her know that she is free to hire him. Kexen is glad to hear this, but Yan is just thankful that money just landed right at his doorstep. Just then, Kexen rushes over to the seller, telling him that she wants to buy the demon blade. The seller proudly tells her that it is going to cost her 25,000 because it is now at full durability. Kexen shocks him by bringing out the cash right from a storage ring. The seller almost loses his mind because this tells him that she is really from a wealthy family. He wastes no time offering up the demon blade, and Jan, on the other hand, is thinking about how he can use Kexen's support power to boost himself. Just then, Kexen returns and she presents the sword to Jan, telling him that it is a gift for their first meeting while urging him not to return it. Jan is shocked to see this because he never expected her to give him the sword, and this basically tells him that the lady has good manners. Jan happily collects the sword and he thanks her for it. Kexen has a strong feeling that Jan is going to become great, which is why she is not reluctant to help him because she believes that it is going to pay off for her later on. Jan then suggests that they head to the rookie training grounds straight away. Moments later, they arrive at the Charging Beast training grounds, and with the new gear, Jan cuts through monsters like butter, while Kexen provides support from behind. With this, the two are even able to set a new, clear time record, while Kexen gets to level up. As if this is not enough, they set a new record for the Wolves training base too, leaving everyone completely amazed. When they realize that Jan has partnered with Kexen from the Yao family, they are even more blown away. Apparently, the Dali Merchant Guild, which is one of the nation's top 10 trading houses, has Kexen's father as the chairman. When Kexen finally reaches level 9, she is already feeling the wave of exhaustion, and she suggests that they take a break, but Jan tells her to rest while they walk. He tells her that with her current stats, she is going to be fine. Kexen is motivated by this, and she tells Jan that she would like to try just like Jan since she has an S-rank support class. At this point in time, Jan has already reached level 13, and Jan tells her that they will be heading to the only rookie training base that is rated C-level danger, the Netherflame Boar base. When they arrive at the entrance of the base, the knight in charge expresses his worry, telling Jan that he is aware that he has broken records in every other base, but he lets him know that the Netherflame Boar King is far more dangerous than charging rabbits or whirlwind wolves. Jan confidently tells the dude that he doesn't mind because the greater the risk, the greater the reward. He mentions that if one never takes the gamble, they are never going to reach a higher standpoint. Deep down, Jan is not worried, since he has Kexen, an S-rank support class, with him. Since Jan is not ready to back down, the knight has no choice but to let them in, and he wishes them luck on the adventure. Jan gladly accepts it because they need all the luck that they can get. After walking for a while inside the dungeon, Kexen expresses her surprise that there is no monster yet, and Jan lets her know that there are no little fries in this dungeon because there is only one boss monster. Kexen freaks out when she hears this, but before she knows it, the boss monster appears in the distance, and Kexen almost passes out in fear at the sight of the gigantic monster. Jan, on the other hand, is hyped as he whips out his two swords to take on the monster, which he considers a worthy opponent. The gigantic beast is a level 15 spectral wild boar king with a ghost flame charge skill. Apparently, it's a terrifying magical beast from the magic caves, and it has a violent attitude. The flowing magical ghost flames from its body can even generate high temperatures of up to 200 degrees. As Jan prepares to face the beast, he orders Kexen to cast Holy Light to help him keep up his HP. Kexen agrees and activates her Holy Angel skill while Jan charges forward to attack the beast. He believes that making the first move is the best strategy against such a powerful monster. While mid-air, Jan plans to use gravity and a swift spin to slice through the monster's neck. However, his brilliant plan doesn't go according to his expectations. As Jan strikes the beast, it leaps into the sky, using its tusks to block the strike. Disappointed, Jan decides to give up on that strategy, sensing that it will be more difficult to fool the monster again. He also notes that the Boar King is smarter than the previous monster bosses he took down. However, Jan decides to make the best of the current situation to modify his Azure Steel Sword. He wants to do it mid-air to keep Kexen from discovering his powers. With that, Jan modifies the Steel Sword to the Qinggang Sword. On its own, the Azure Steel Sword is trash, but blocking a strike from the Qinggang Sword is next to impossible for the Boar King. However, after the modification, Jan is only able to turn the sword into a level 10 replica of the legendary Qinggang Sword. Although inferior to the real thing, this replica still possesses immense power. It can also cut through iron like dirt or cut through an opponent's armor. Despite the low quality, Jan isn't disappointed with the result. This is because he knows that his modification powers cannot create god-tier artifacts out of air. However, this is enough for him to take down a level 15 monster Boar King. With such a weapon, his stats are greatly improved, giving him the advantage. Jan immediately attacks the beast, and with a single strike, he slashes one of its tusks, enraging it. While Kexen is distracted, Jan quickly changes his blade back to the Azure Steel Sword before she notices anything. Meanwhile, Kexen is shocked by what she just witnessed. She finds it hard to believe that a common E-rank weapon could do that much damage. She's certain it couldn't be the weapon because only a single slash chopped off the hardest part of the boar, its tusk. After considering it for a while, Kexen concludes that it was Yan's strength and it had nothing to do with the weapon. She reasons that someone with a dual F-rank class who can break that many records must be more powerful than most A-rank classes.
While Keken is deep in thought, Yan notices the look on her face and figures she must be imagining all sorts of weird scenarios in her head. Since they still have a monster to defeat, Yan calls out to her, bringing her back to reality. He then orders her to cover him in holy light or she might not be able to level up when he defeats the monster. Kexen thanks him for the reminder as she activates her holy light skill. While Kexen bestows him with the light, Yan prepares to end the Boar King. However, before attacking, he tries to come up with a strategy. Yan wonders if he should use the modification skill for the next attack. He considers changing the name of his demon sword for the next strike.
However, he struggles to pick a suitable name to change into. After throwing around some big names, Yan pauses briefly because changing it to something unreasonable might either fail or backfire. He then decides not to risk it and shoots himself in the foot. Just then, the Boar King activates the skill, Nether Flame Charge, pulling Yan back to reality. As he prepares to wrap things up, Yan decides to modify the Nether Flame Charge into something else. After considering what to change it into, he tells Kexen to close her eyes. Confused, Kexen asks why, but Yan simply tells her to just trust him. He explains that she might not be able to stomach what happens next. Without hesitation, Kexen obeys, thinking the scene is about to turn gory. As the Boar King charges towards him like a giant blue hot flaming Cheetos, Yan activates the modification skill. With the snap of a finger, he changes the boar's Nether Flame Charge to Nether Flame Drift. Once the modification is successfully activated, the monster slows down, slowly drifting mid-air. Even the Boar King is confused as Yan turns him into Zootopia's very own Flash. Satisfied with his masterpiece, Yan immediately charges forward to attack, and midway he modifies the Azure Sword to the Qing Gang Sword. With a single powerful swing, Yan strikes the monster's neck, defeating it. The system immediately notifies him that the Boar King has been slain and adds the EXP for defeating the monster to his stats. With these added points, he moves up to level 15. Yan is surprised that he rose 2 levels in a row thanks to defeating the strongest rookie monster boss. Meanwhile, Kexen's eyes are still closed, but she hears the system notification giving her rewards. She's stunned that her levels moved up 3 times, putting her in level 12. This makes her wonder if Yan actually defeated the monster. After changing the sword back to its original state, Yan walks up to Kexen. Though he had her close her eyes so she wouldn't discover his secret, Yan is surprised that she obeyed. He's pleased with this and notes that Kexen is the perfect teammate. Because she's not just obedient, but rich, and possesses a healing skill, Yan plans to bring her along for dungeon raids that require forming a party. A few minutes later, he tells Kexen to open her eyes and lets her know that her request to level up is complete. The moment she opens her eyes, Kexen is stunned when she notices the dead monster. She can't believe Yan actually defeated such a terrifying monster alone. As Yan prepares to head out, Kexen quietly watches him in awe. She concludes that he's a rare talent who is gentle and also trustworthy. Before Yan can leave, Kexen calls out to him and hands him his payment. She also gives him a little bonus as a thank you gift. Yan's eyes widen when he notices that the bonus gift is a storage ring. Basically, storage rings are a big deal because they are made from crystals with permanent spatial magic. Storage rings ignore every physical limitation and can store anything. Even storage rings with a small space sell for hundreds of thousands, so they're quite valuable. Knowing how expensive they are, Yan refuses to accept it. However, Kexen insists, knowing that with Yan's talent, he needs it more than she does. She tells him to accept it since he helped her get 2 more levels than they initially agreed on. Yan knows Kexen is right because he plans to head into the wilds for his solo leveling mission, and a storage ring will definitely come in handy for all his loot. After considering it for a while, he decides to accept Kexen's gift. In exchange, he offers to help her with any request as long as it doesn't go against his principles. After agreeing on the terms of their exchange, Kexen and Yan decide to head out. Meanwhile, outside, people buzz about the freshman rankings. Everyone is surprised that the levels of different contenders are very close to each other. This is because there are several talents in Nanyang City this year. Apparently, the city even had a lot of S-rank and A-rank combat classes this year, especially in Nanyang 7th High, where it is rumored that 3 S-rank combat classes were awakened. A few moments later, Yan and Kexen join the crowd to check out the rankings. Although Yan is still number 1 on the rankings, he knows others will probably catch up to him soon. This is because the 3 people behind him awakened top-tier combat classes. One of them is Li Yufeng, a top student in both academics and combat from Nanyang 3rd High. Li Yufeng awakened as an S-rank sword saint, and he's unmatched in close combat. The other genius is Zhang Hong, who is number 1 in martial arts at Nanyang 9th High. He awakened as an A-rank blazing fistmaster with terrifying offensive power. The third is Lu Yuan, an S-rank Gale assassin with an elemental high-agility close combat class. He also specializes in ambush. In Yan's last life, all these peerless geniuses had a dazzling career. In this life, Yan wants to surpass them and stand at the top of Nanyang City's top 100. To do this, these exceptional talents will be his rivals at some point. However, Yan looks forward to the day he faces off with them for the top spot. But for now, he plans to go back home and focus on his sister, Jiang Yao. In his last life, Yan was taken away from home and used like a commodity for the powerful. His sister had to grow up alone, and he never got to see her again. Now that he has been given a second chance at life, Yan swears to make up for the regrets of his last life. A few moments later, he bids Kexin farewell, and she tells him to include her in his next dungeon run. Shortly after, Yan arrives at the place he used to call home. After he was taken in his last life, he never came back home. He only heard news about his sister Yao from several third parties. Even though they never saw each other again, Yan's sister eventually awakened a powerful A-rank combat class. But for now, Yao is still that introverted shut-in he used to know. Upon entering the house, Yao greets her brother and invites him to eat. Yao is a 15-year-old shy 9th grader who has been withdrawn ever since their parents died in the demon cave. 3 years ago, their parents were still alive, and Yao wasn't like this. She was bright and much happier than she is right now. But her parents' death in the demon cave affected her a lot and made her withdrawn. While eating, Yao suddenly announces that she plans to drop out of school. Yan is surprised to hear this and asks her why. Knowing she's the top in her grade, both in academics, he can't understand why she wants to drop out. Yan lets her know that the high school entrance exams are close, and with her grades, she shouldn't be thinking about dropping out. Yao explains that it's because she can't achieve much like Yan. She reveals that she saw his top scores in the city rankings. She praises Yan for always working hard and believes he will become someone great in the future. Yao also believes that her brother is destined to protect this world. However, because of her withdrawn nature, Yao doesn't have confidence in her own abilities, even with her top grades in combat and academics. She tells Yan that she plans to start working to help out with their living expenses. Despite her explanation, Yan refuses to believe her excuse for dropping out. He then asks her to reveal the real reason behind her sudden decision. Before Yao can respond, some dude named Uncle Quan invites himself into their house. Sensing the tension in the room, he hesitates to enter. Afterwards, Quan begins lamenting about his loan company, expressing his regret for pestering them. Apparently, Quan is the owner of the Aquan Emergency Microloan Company. Over the last 2 years, Yan and Yao have been borrowing money from Quan's company for their living expenses. Looking at Yao's expression, Yan realizes that Quan must have come to the house earlier. He figures that must be the real reason Yao suddenly wants to drop out of school. He also notes that she must be doing this after seeing his ranking and knowing they're too broke to afford his college fund. So Yao would rather abandon her bright future than burden Yan, who needs a lot of money for college. Yan then asks Quan to calculate how much they owe him for the past 2 years. Quan tells him that they owe about 43,000 without the interest. He feels bad for coming to them for money, but his company is in trouble. Yan then gives Quan the payment of 50,000 which he received from Kexin. He tells Quan to take the extra money on it as interest for the loan. Quan is surprised to hear this, while Yao wonders where her brother got the money from. Yan wants to explain it to her so she doesn't worry, but he doesn't want to talk about it in front of an outsider. Sensing Yan's intentions, Quan immediately excuses himself and tells them to call him if they ever need help. Once he leaves, Yao questions whether Yan's money came from a shady source. But Yan pats her head, assuring her that his money is clean. He tells her to stop worrying and assures her that he's going to be the #1 on the city's top 100 list. Yan also boasts that he's going to be the top scorer in Nanyang City's college entrance exam and receive the 300,000 prize money. He then tells Yao not to give up on her future because of him. Hearing this, Yao realizes that her lame excuse earlier didn't fool her brother, and he knows exactly why she wanted to drop out. Yan then hands her a bank card, assuring her that he's got plenty of ways to make money even though he hasn't started using them yet. Yan tells Yao to study and train hard because once he's at the top, everyone will turn their attention to her. He explains that the pressure on her will skyrocket once people start looking at her as the top dog's little sister, so she needs to step up and become the strongest in her year. Hearing this, Yao begins to tremble as she bursts into tears and rushes into Yan's arms. She then swears never to shame their family. Yan comforts her and makes up his mind to start grinding levels while making money at the same time. With an unwavering determination, he swears to take the top scorer spot in Nanyang City. To achieve his dreams, Yan decides to go outside the human-controlled zones in the Demon Cave. This is because they're the best places for leveling up, and one of them is the Poison Dragon Valley. This place is filled with both danger and opportunities. Because it has a dense population of monsters, Yan believes it's the fastest spot for solo leveling. There is even a rumor that a rare dragon-type monster lies deep within the Poison Dragon Valley. Jan wishes he could find this monster and get one of its eggs. With the egg, he can finally use his universal grafting skill to cook up a powerful, loyal monster. Jan is excited about the opportunities in the Dragon Valley and hopes to snag magic crystals to sell for some quick bucks. To achieve his dream of conquering the world, Jan decides to head to the Demon Cave's Poison Dragon Valley the following day. The next day, Jan boards a bus to Nanyang City's Demon Cave. Once the bus drops him off, Jan plans his next move. To get to the Dragon Valley outside, he has to pass through the Demon Cave first. Jan figures that a lot of people might be there at this time of the day. The Demon Cave is connected to the real world, Nanyang City, by one passageway. And inside the Demon Cave is a human stronghold, one of humanity's main fortresses against monster invasion. The Nanyang City's Demon Cave is run by two bosses above level 70. In his last life, Jan was forced to work for them like a slave. Upon entering the Demon Cave, Jan sees a lot of people geared up. Once they enter the cave, most people immediately gear up to stay ready to fight at any moment. Jan can tell that the majority of their gear must have cost a fortune. However, it is nothing compared to the storage ring he got from Kexen because she's on another level of rich. A few moments later, Jan arrives at the East Gate, the exit closest to the Poison Dragon Valley. Apparently, Dragon Valley is considered the safest among all the explored zones in the Demon Valley. Most monsters here are said to be between level 13 and 18. Jan believes it's the best spot for his leveling goals. At the East Gate, Jan is roasted as usual when he presents his identification to the guards. Wondering if he has a few screws loose, the captain questions if he plans to go into the valley alone with his dual trash F rank. He warns Jan that the rookie training grounds are nothing compared to the Demon Cave wilds. Despite the warning, Jan remains calm and thanks the captain for his concern. As he heads past them, Jan boldly declares that he'll surely come back in one piece. However, the captain is still worried and doesn't want the poor sap to die. To save Jan, the man lunges forward to stop him, but to his shock, Jan swiftly evades him. Stunned and speechless, the captain can't believe that a dual low-class trash slipped past him, a level 30 awakener. A few minutes later, one of his men tells him to let Jan go. He then reveals that Jan is the same guy who ignored class and single-handedly broke several rookie records. He also lets the captain know that Jan is the #1 both in academics and combat at Nanyang First High, and a top contender to be this year's top scorer in the college entrance exams. The captain is stunned to hear this and can't believe a dual F-rank awakener can be that strong. The whole thing sounds like a fairy tale to him because even the top awakeners in past years never pulled off such sick moves like Jan. While they debate about his awesomeness, Jan heads into the Poison Dragon Valley. Even though it is full of opportunities, the valley is covered with poisonous gas, so antidote pills are a must to survive. Jan pulls out a pill from his storage ring to take. The problem is that these pills only last about 3 hours. Since they're not so dirt cheap, Jan decides to do his best to make it count because he's still broke. The moment he pops the pill in his mouth, 3 ferocious level 13 poison wing lizards charge towards him. But Jan is prepared since they're just stepping stones to his solo leveling mission. Without hesitation, Jan swiftly slices through them using the Azure Steel Blade. He gains EXP from defeating each winged poison lizard, increasing his level progress. Jan is pleased that just 3 small wild monsters were able to raise his progress level. He continues to go further into the valley as he looks forward to taking down other wild monsters. A few moments later, he runs into a bunch of monsters, and Jan decides to activate the modification skill to speed run through them. He immediately modifies the Azure Steel Sword to an Azure Gold Sword before confidently charging into the hunt. Jan effortlessly slashes through several poison wing bats, boldly telling them to keep pouring in. After taking down a bunch of them, he gains a massive amount of EXP and levels up to level 13. Afterwards, he moves to slaying carnivorous fiend grass, which he clears in no time. He gains another massive EXP and moves up to level 17. Next, he slices his way through a large number of miasma toad monsters. As usual, Jan easily breezes through them, gaining massive EXP and leveling up to level 18. After a while, he stops to rest and recharge. Despite all his successful leveling up, Jan is a bit disappointed because he hasn't found a single magic crystal after murking so many monsters. This makes him wonder if he's just unlucky today. Suddenly, a voice rings from behind, asking if Jan killed all the monsters. Jan turns around to see 2 dudes strutting towards him like they own the place. He immediately recognizes one of them as Nanyang 7th High S-Rank Awakener, Lu Yuan, also popularly known as the Gale Assassin and the young master of the Lu family, a prestigious Awakener clan in Nanyang City. Jan is still deep in thought when Yuan's companion questions whether he's deaf and reminds him that he hasn't answered their question, but Jan remains quiet as he quietly observes the nameless lackey. After a brief moment of silence, Jan rises from his seat and finally speaks. He boldly asks what the lackey plans to do if he refuses to answer. Jan's attitude provokes the lackey, infuriating him. He then begins mouthing off and throwing Yuan's identity around. Before the situation escalates, Yuan steps in and finally speaks up, revealing that he knows Yan. He praises Yan's skills and invites him to form a party with them, but Yan ignores him and immediately rejects the offer before walking away. He doesn't want to share his hard-earned points with some arrogant brat who isn't even paying him. Yuan's lackey is infuriated by Yan's cockiness and asks why Yuan stopped him from teaching Yan a lesson. Yuan explains that Yan might have some talent because it's not easy for a dual F-rank awakener to make it this deep into the valley alone. He then advises his lackey to be patient and promises to let him have his fill when next they run into Yan. The lackey is excited to hear this and looks forward to wiping the ground with Yan, whom he considers trash. Meanwhile, Yan continues his adventure deep within the Poison Valley. With only one antidote pill left, he plans to take out a few miasmatodes and hit level 19 before calling it a day. However, after searching for his next targets for an hour, Yan comes up empty-handed. He feels even more disappointed that he hasn't seen a single rare monster. He was looking forward to stumbling upon the rumored rare dragon-type beast. Unfortunately, he hasn't even seen anything remotely like that in the Poison Valley. Suddenly, a dark projectile almost hits him, but Yan reacts in time, blocking the attack with his azure sword. After dodging the attack, the weird-looking projectile continues to play the background character while Yan stands ready for battle. He tries to figure out what just tried to ambush him, and he's amazed by its defense skills. Just then, a gigantic toad leaps out of the forest, growling like a raging beast. The giant toad is known as the Miasmatode King, and it is a level 20 monster. Its innate skills are mutated toad hide, giant tongue bind, and burst poison gland. Despite the terrifying beast in front of him, Yan seems more excited than afraid to face the boss-class monster. All he's concerned with is the fact that he can finally get one magic crystal. Suddenly, the Toad King unleashes its innate skill, the giant tongue bind, using it to attack Yan, but Yan effortlessly dodges its attacks. Even though the monster is fast, Yan has already figured out how to deal with it. With the snap of a finger, he activates modification, and to counter the giant tongue bind skill, Yan modifies it to giant tongue tangle. As the monster attacks again, its giant tongue tangles around itself, almost choking the toad. While the toad is distracted, Yan leaps into the air with the azure sword and strikes the monster on the head. Unfortunately, the strike doesn't deal any damage, and before Yan can make another move, the monster activates another innate skill. It unleashes the mutated toad hide skill, increasing its defense by making its hide impenetrable. Because the monster's level exceeds Yan's level, the modification skill placed on it immediately deactivates, as the monster's tongue bind skill reverts to its original state. Yan is not too happy that his strategy failed at this very moment, and he reasons that this is the major downside when it comes to using modification on an opponent. Basically, using this skill on an enemy above his level cuts the modification time short, and apart from that, the skill might also fail immediately. As the monster's tongue charges towards him again, Yan remains calm as he prepares to take a dangerous gamble to defeat such a formidable enemy. He decides to modify the demon blade, and as he pulls it out from his storage ring, Yan modifies it, changing the blade to the Demon Fall Sword. Basically summoning a demon to become one with his sword. Once the sword is modified, the Demon King's eye is etched into the sword just above the handle. Suddenly, a voice thunders from the blade, demanding to know who dares summon him. It turns out, Yan summoned a Demon King sword, and from the skill card, its stats are unknown. But the sword carries a small part of the consciousness of the 7th Demon King, Blood Spirit Shura. According to the system notification, using the sword is extremely risky, and it is not to be used by force. Realizing he summoned something extremely dangerous, Yan decides to quickly finish the miasma toad monster before things get out of hand. Yan then uses every ounce of strength he can muster to swing at the monster. With a single strike, he cuts clean through the toad, defeating it. However, the Demon King's sword drains all of Yan's stamina, causing him to collapse. Just as he's trying to catch his breath, the blade begins acting up as it tries to take over Yan's body. Yan quickly tries to change it back to its original state, but unfortunately, he's completely out of steam. Without any juice, he can't even trigger the modification skill, and as he falls in front of the sword, Shura's eye sees him. Shura is infuriated that a human borrowed his power and decides to make Yan pay the price as it begins to take over his body. He boasts that his little power can wipe out Yan's world and enslave everyone, even without descending in person. What Shura doesn't know is that Yan was already prepared for this because it isn't his first rodeo. After pushing himself back up, Yan takes out the azure sword, and before Shura can finish his threats, he smashes the demon eye. This cuts off Shura's consciousness from the blade, and as he disappears, he swears to deal with Yan one day. After angrily cursing Yan and describing the 1,000 ways he plans to tear him apart, Shura's consciousness vanishes, freeing Yan from its hold. Yan heaves a sigh of relief as the Demon King's consciousness stops invading. However, he still cannot change the blade back to its original state because he has yet to regain his stamina. Yan plans to rest up and change it back before leaving the valley. In his last life, his modification skill caused something similar, but on a larger scale. He somehow summoned the 9th Demon King, Thunder Spirit Annihilation. The summoning got out of hand until a nation-guarding general above level 80 stepped in to handle the mess. But Yan learned how to handle such problems thanks to that incident. Basically, the way to restrain the Demon King's summon is to attack their consciousness, which is tied to the weapon. While waiting for his stamina to return, Yan starts wondering about the origin of these terrifying beings. He wonders if they are creatures of the Demon Cave, or whether they come from an even more terrifying world. After regaining his strength, he changes the Demon King's sword back to its original state and decides to grab his loot from the battle. As he walks closer to the Toad King, Yan hopes it has a magic crystal drop embedded in it. And just as he hoped, a level 20 boss magic crystal appears from the Miasma Toad King's corpse. Apparently, its market price is at least 100,000, and Yan is excited for his first big bucks. After collecting the crystal, he also collects the Toad's corpse and that of all the monsters he killed in his storage ring. This is because these are considered top-grade materials, and he can sell them for a little extra money. However, Yan doesn't want to sell them at the regular market because they won't fetch a good price there. So he decides to sell them on the black market for more profit. After packing up, Yan checks out his stats and realizes that he leveled up twice in a row after slaying the Toad King and the unknown entity. He was now at level 20, and Yan figures the unknown entity must be Shura's consciousness. Yan wasn't expecting such a bonus, so he wonders if he can exploit that loophole for his own gain. Since summoning a demon entity and punching a hole through its eye helped him level up, Yan considers repeating it. He hopes that this system bug can power him straight to level 100. However, the plan is too risky, and any mistake could drag his precious city down, forcing him to hit reset again. Not wanting to cause a major mess up, Yan drops the idea. He then checks his stats for his new innate skill. Basically, a new innate skill is gained after every 10 levels. This time Yan got a dismantle skill that can dismantle items below level 10 to obtain various materials. There is also a 10% chance that he can trigger the critical strike reward with this skill, which causes dismantled materials to be multiplied by 2. Yan also obtained a new level 1 farmer talent skill, Pest Immunity. Apparently this skill makes crops immune to pests. Yan is pleased with his new skills, especially Dismantle, because it is a money-making skill. Pest Immunity can also be modified into the God tier skill, Damage Immunity. Unfortunately, Damage Immunity is not very reliable and has so many restrictions. However, it is a life-saving trump card to keep in extremely dire situations. Afterwards, Yan decides to hurry out of the Poison Dragon Valley. But on his way out, he runs into Yuen's arrogant lackey waiting for him atop a tree. Yan immediately stops in his tracks as he wonders what the lackey wants. The arrogant dude, Liu Tao, a level 17 assassin and a B-rank combat class, shows off his dagger as he mocks Yan, revealing that he has been waiting for him. Without wasting time, Tao charges towards Yan, calling him trash and threatening to teach him a lesson. Tao's innate skill is Quick Step, and it helps increase his agility by 30%. Feeling smug, Tao tries to plunge his daggers into Yan, believing that an F-rank trash could never beat someone as awesome as him. But before he can even finish that line of thought, Yan wipes the smile off his silly face with a single sword strike. Tao is thrown into the distance, completely battered, wondering how Yan can be faster than him. He's also puzzled about how Yan owns a storage ring because he saw him pulling out his sword from it. To Tao, a dual F-rank trash shouldn't be able to afford something as expensive as a storage ring. Yan calmly watches the pathetic lackey who thought he was a match for him. He can't understand why they think awakening a combat class makes them invincible. But for Yan, he believes that personal training, enhanced stats, combat sense, and the level gap greatly affect one's strength. And from how easily Tao caved, Yan knows that the dude is just trash compared to him. However, he notes that Yuen might be quite the formidable opponent. Just then, Yuen moves in swiftly from the shadows, but Yan notices him and remains calm. As Yuen attacks him, Yan blocks the attack, and Yuen praises his azure gold sword. Yan also commends Yuen's saber before the two of them fall back from the fight. Yuen then challenges Yan to a duel to see what the hype about him is. Since Yuen doesn't believe he deserves that top spot, Yan decides to up the stakes. He tells Yuen to wager his saber, and whoever wins takes the other person's weapon. Yuen agrees to the deal without hesitation and immediately charges towards Yan at full speed. Apparently, Yuen's innate skill is a powerful wind push called the Gale Stride. This skill uses the power of the wind to boost agility by 80%. While Yuen charges towards him, Yan remains calm as if enjoying the whole thing. He excitedly declares that he looks forward to taking Yuen's saber, and Yan can't help but anticipate getting another free buck from his latest sucker.